Process is very simple. Let's go through the business process and try to gather the business requirements out of it. Okay. As part of this exercise, we will basically start with the process. We'll first talk at our level, the way we have been talking about processes. Then we will get into the details. We'll take it to the business requirements, the level of details that we would need for business requirements. That is the goal of this exercise. The process is very simple. If you ask me, the process is this. This sales rep, they continuously are selling things and all that. But this particular sub process, whatever you want to call it, this comes at a point, these sometimes, in certain organizations, the products are like big, like $1 million projects, products. So as part of the sales cycle, as part of the sales cycle, typically in those cases, they make few demos to the user, to the customers. The sales rep meet with the customers multiple times, and they also, they tell the good points of the product to the customer. They also give them the brochures. This is, as you can imagine, this will be true in case of selling aeroplanes, ships, any huge big medical machines, like which are $10 million machines or $5 million machines. In case of, if you are selling a huge costly service, like for example, let's say you are selling the service, like we'll do your project. In that case also, the concept of brochures is quite applicable, and the sales rep meets with the client a number of times. So in this particular, we will assume that the process, the company, the product that they are selling is related to medical equipments. For example, MRI machines and CT scans and things like that. And their process also involves that, when they meet with them, they will give the when the sales rep meets with the client, they will give them the brochures and things like that. Now this process is little bit inside process, in the internal process. What happens is, obviously after giving the brochures, he will lose all the brochures. Sorry, his brochures will deplete. Eventually, his brochures will be zero. So he'll have to order more brochures from within the company. We can call that as a sales brochure fulfillment center. So this process is called as literature fulfillment process. Okay, so this was one of the requirements. So this is the process at a high level. Sales rep, he realizes that his brochures are finished, they are almost finished. He basically submits the request to the fulfillment center. Fulfillment center receives the request. Okay, then they look at the request, then they fulfill the request, as well as tell him the details, that tell him the details of the process, that tell him the details of the fulfillment, like we are sent you 100 brochures by FedEx. The FedEx tracking number is this. He looks at this, he says, he gets his level of comfort increases immediately. When he receives it, he closes the service request saying that I got it. This is a very simple process. Rep realizes that he has less brochures and he needs more. He submits a request. He requests a brochure from warehouse. Warehouse receives it and studies it, fulfills it, and puts the fulfillment details like tracking number. Reps look at the request status in the system and feels comfortable. Reps receives it and closes it. Okay. Do you think rep should close this request, or the fulfillment center person should close this request? Yes, rep should close it. And just to let you know, if rep does not close it, and this there is term called as closed process, closed business process and open business process. If rep closes it, then it is a closed business process, that it is complete. That means it's complete. If fulfillment center guy closes the service request, that would mean that it is not complete. The process is not complete. We sometimes call it open business process. We should devise as much as, we should look for the closeness in the business process whenever we are modeling it. Do you think at a high level, this process is closed in one way, but then there are certain other open areas? For example, let's say even warehouse does not have the brochures. For example, if warehouse also does not have it, for example, rep asks for 20,000 brochures, which is a sum total of the request generated by all the other reps. Should they always fulfill it, or should they sometimes reject it? If they reject it, then who will close it, and what will be the mode of rejection? If they don't reject it, let's say there is an intermediary thing, somebody asks for 500 brochures, usually it should be given 300 brochures. Do you think somebody should approve it? Fulfillment center manager or somebody who should approve it before fulfillment center rep fulfills the request, or he simply accepts or rejects it, or he simply accepts it. At a very high level, just within the process, we can clearly see certain loopholes that we did not address. Are these system details? No. Are these Siebel? No. It has nothing to do with Siebel. What are all this? Just process study. At a process level, we see some issues. The process itself is not complete, right? So just by looking at the process at a very high level, I see some big issues. These are the issues I said. There are some issues which are at the granular level for everything. For example, rep realizes that he has less brochures and he needs more. What do we mean by less brochures? Right? So this has to be objective. He requests the brochures from warehouse. How does he send the request? Does he use a system? Does he send the mail? Does he send an email? Does he send a postal mail? Does he send a fax? What does he do? How does he submit the request? What kind of details does he put on the request? Okay. One more exception scenario comes to my mind. What if those brochures have been discontinued? That can also happen. The product might be in sale. It might be the last product, it might be the last batch of that product, and the product is getting discontinued, and they might say, the fulfillment center might say, we have run out of brochures and none is gonna get printed now. So all these exception scenarios, this is just at the process level, we don't even know what the process should be. Typically, people who indulge in business process modeling or business process reengineering, business process modeling, roughly, according to me, I will tell you in very layman terms rather than getting into definitions. Business process modeling means whatever the current process is, you model it and understand it properly. This is modeling going on. According to me, these 6 boxes and what we are thinking and the way we will put it, that's the modeling going on. Reengineering means there is a current process, then you define the future state of the process, that this is how the process should look like. That will become that will be a better process. So you have done reengineering of the process, right? And this process is also, like, we should call it business process rather than just process. I'm calling it process all the time, but it is basically business process. And the disciplines are called as business process modeling, business process reengineering, or business process engineering sometimes. Engineering means creating, business process reengineering means whatever is existing already, you re-engineer it, that is change it and make it better. Yes. There could be leakages or loopholes in the system, in the business process. Not system, business process. We are not discussing the system, so we are studying business process. Business process level, this work is usually done by management consultants. Typically, wherever you would go, somebody would have already done it, but you can also do it. It is quite easy, and we probably can give much better inputs. Let's understand it a little more. If somebody is if you follow this process blindly, that would mean that if some sales rep asks for 50,000 brochures of a certain machine, and fulfillment center fulfills it, wasting a lot of brochures. We are all able to see that there are certain loopholes, and we understand that. This is when we guys do business and all that, this is where our business knowledge stops, and we all understand till this point very, very well. But whatever we discuss after this, it will be again common sense, and you will be able to appreciate all those details and understand all those details. Let's get into more details one by one. So I've just updated this one by looking at a certain sheet in which certain levels are written for every product. For example, for product MD scan, if the number of brochures he has is less than 3, he should immediately order. So this sheet will not be made by him. It will be distributed to all the reps, and it will be made by the fulfillment center managers, right? So we are closing the process gaps, process loopholes, right? He should not simply start ordering. He has 10 brochures and he keeps ordering 20 more. Okay, that should not happen. So we've closed one gap. Then by email or fax, right? So somebody has to give him the email ID and the fax number also. If he does not have it, then how will he send? So here, this is a kind of a peripheral process that exists. Somebody has to do it. Fulfillment manager will probably do it. He will first set it all these, do all these things. Okay. These are the two steps I've added just to make sure that things get closed, things get done. Somebody has to do it. Typically, fulfillment manager will do. Fulfillment center manager will do all this. I've captured all the scenarios, and I'm not going to write it here because it will be just too much work. Let's get to another. Yeah.
Let's discuss the whole thing.
No. So I've already discussed some of the high level issues. Let's get to some lower level issues. Okay. Okay. When he submits the okay, so all details will go on the form that he will send to. Okay. One thing is sure, he will send the product. The sorry, brochure name, whatever. But do you think there could be versions of the brochures also? There could be. So he has to mention the exact version, right? Just peripherally, we'll just test a little bit of system thing also. If he is putting this request in the system, then system should tell him whether that version is the latest or not. Yeah. It should not even let him choose the old versions, which may be irrelevant completely. In fact, he should. Do you think a rep should remember what all versions are there for every product? For example, if he is selling MRI machine, he should simply say, I'm selling MRI machine model number 1404. The relevant brochure should be shown automatically, right? The way what I'm really saying is, I'm looking at I'm just thinking in Siebel, somewhere he's putting the request and there are 3 fields he's filling. First of all, product. Do you think products he should be entering the product, he should be picking it from somewhere? So the million products, will you provide this product as a free form field or as a pick list or pick applet or static pick list or dynamic pick applet? For example, look, these guys sell the memory. Context is a little different, but concept is same. They're letting you pick if the products are very huge, they have divided. If you select Apple, it shows you only Apple products.
Exactly.
Once you check this thing, then it lets you pick the exact model also. Yeah. So for example, if you want to look for Toshiba, it first lets you pick Toshiba, then you pick the product line, then you pick the exact model, right? So there are ways to make this more robust so that the data entry is easy. For example, when you see millions of records, then this is millions of products. For example, in this case, millions of products were involved. They let but according to me, pick applet is the only way. Picking from a restricted list, because otherwise they'll keep making data entry error. Just think, look at this one. Do you think anybody can remember this thing and enter it exactly the same way? Yeah. So we should not let them. We should not let them make it a free form field. Other thing is, even brochure he should not be asked to enter, because let's say there are so many products, there will be at least 4 or 5 brochures per product, right? And there could be multiple versions. So system should let them enter the product, and that also by a pick applet. Then system should show them the various brochures and versions, if you want to make sure that there are no data entry errors at the time of entry. Okay. So the second thing is, let's say he wants it by mail. If he gives, okay, let's just simply think, if he gives these details to the fulfillment center, do you think that things will get done properly? Just these details. What is missing in these? Tell me. Just with these details, this step will get done. Let me tell you what I'm trying to say. Jab tak he has to give his shipping address. Where does he want it? If there is no shipping address, rep will never receive it.
Right.
So shipping address is something that is required here. And rep's name should also be given.
Right.
These are all very important details. I can think of some more details just by my knowledge of the process. Can you think of some more details that sales rep should fill out for the fulfillment center rep? Anything else that you can think of? and with its significance. Any other things beside these fields that we have recognized so far which would be very useful and have to be entered in the form? Think about the form, other fields. So quantity is one thing I can think of. One more information that is required is by the date by which it is required. Right? It will help save company a lot of money. Other thing is, in this request only one product and its brochures can be ordered. He should be able to mention multiple products and multiple brochures also, right? Because let's say he's getting brochures of one product, two brochures of another product. Obviously the fulfillment center can send them in one package to save money. If that is not there, then there will be a problem, right? So for one request he can enter multiple, so this will be an MVG, or this will be a single value field. So that's one addition. Do you think if it is like one product, one brochure, like if let's say multiple products, multiple brochures he can enter, the date by which they are required will be different for different brochures, or it will be same for all the brochures?
It would be different for different brochures.
Quantity, that will be different.
Quantity.
Version, सबका version 2 दे दो. This is an MVG, and when I'm talking about all that, I'm just thinking this will be the product name, this will be the version number, this will be the quantity, this will be the date when it is by which it is required. One record, different columns within that record. There will be multiple such records. That's what I'm envisioning. Okay. Similarly, this will be a pick list. Here it is not a pick list, it will be a pick list. Here it is a freeform field. Version will be a pick list. The values in that pick list will be dependent upon the values in the previous field, because for every product only the related brochures will be shown, right? Right. Similarly, quantity should be a number, should not be English.
Right.
Date should be a date. Date should be like this, wherever you did last, like this. It should have this keyboard, like whatever, interactive control. Interactive control can they? Date interactive control. From a system perspective, till now we are not making system, but my mind is working that way. The question is, what is the benefit of date and time of sending? The answer is, one benefit that I can think of is, if you ever want to calculate how much time does it take for the fulfillment center to get back to people, to understand the satisfaction level of the sales reps, then that you need to gather all this data together and see how much is the typical request fulfillment time. Exactly. And then you can gauge. So for analysis it can be required. Exactly. Second thing is, you can, if you want to build a rule that if fulfillment center is not fulfilling the request within 21 days, within 14 days, or within 7 days, then the sales rep manager should be notified immediately. Then in that case also, the creation time and date of the application will be very important. For these two things I can think of. Anything else that you can think of? We are understanding the importance of each and every field. This discussion will be carried out for each and every field on the form applet. Every field has been thought of. Each and every drop-down value in the field will be thought of. We are brainstorming the idea of, that whether like all this information. So these form fields is a process requirement, right? So, okay. Similarly, now next, let's go to the next box. He requests the brochures from warehouse by email or fax. Okay, in this case, what he will do is he'll enter in the case of system, he will enter it in the system as a service request, like this here in this screen. Like somewhere, okay, so like this here, service request will be entered and he'll click submit somewhere. So you will create a button here. You will get the buttons created here. Remember, like we sometimes think, what are the use of this button? These are the uses. Okay. Anyway, if you guys notice, we'll need a status also. Open, closed, approved. So immediately there is another field that is required. That field will show open or submitted. Submitted. Yes. Yeah. Do you think he should always create a new request and always have to submit it immediately, or he can create 4 or 5 requests and submit it after some time also if he's missing some information. Those are system level details, we'll get into that, but let's understand the process very well. So he requests the brochures from warehouse by email or fax, so he will submit it. So this request will go to them. Warehouse receives it and studies it. Okay. There is one more thing here which I forgot to mention, that once when he is submitting the request, even system can check whether it is beyond the extra limit. Like let's say for a particular product the limit is 4, so it should not be more than 4. So even system can impose that rule. For this brochure, the limit is 3 or 30 or 200. Somebody has to feed that in, right? So we are talking about various capabilities of the system, right? He requests the brochures, warehouse receives it and studies it. Once he studies it, there are two things. Whether first scenario is they can fulfill it, easy. Second is they have to seek the approval of someone. Third is they have to reject it. They will reject it outright. Fourth is these brochures are not there. So they will either, first of all, if they accept it, the process is very simple. They'll first accept, then they will start working on it, and then they will, after they make the package, they will send it to that guy at the shipping address mentioned in the request, and at that point they will also get the tracking number. They will put it somewhere in the request. So there will be 2 more fields added here while coming back. Which company? What is the tracking number? Right? All these things. Then they receive. Then once this guy receives it, then let's say this guy doesn't receive it. So you can build a rule in the system that if after sending the request is not closed within 2 days, then sales reps manager should get this email, or sales rep should get the email, why don't you go and close it if you have already got the package. If you haven't got the package, please then check in the system and put it in the service request someplace that I didn't get the package yet, although you have already sent me. So we see at a system level, like many things can be done business requirements level. We have to understand that. Let's analyze something else now. For example, this last rule that I said, like first of all, like this process level detail, like we can analyze creation time and fulfillment time, and we can analyze the time. So this huge process, we can do it. Let's say we want to start doing this project, we can separate it into 4 releases. Okay, January release, April release, let's say April release, August release, October release, and December release. If you start working in January, or maybe even before that, in a March release or April release, whatever that release is, first release, we can simply roll out the bare bone functionality. That is, there will be no check on the quantity. There will be no, only this product and brochure thing will be there, but there will be no check on the quantity. We will not build a rule. We will not build the rule that if it is more than a certain number, then it should be, right? All that thing can be let go. That can be done in the 4th release or 3rd release, but we can give the ability to enter the brochure and brochure version, etc. Shipping address is definitely required. It can be done in the first release itself. Rep's name, department can be used in the first release. It has to be given in the first release itself. Creation time is used for the analysis of the request and fulfillment over the years. So this functionality can be given after in the 4th release. We call this thing as roadmap. When you look at a huge functionality or a full life cycle of a fulfillment, like if you look at this, we are implementing the literature fulfillment functionality or the process in the system. We will not try to go everything at the same time. We call it the phased approach of implementation. We'll break it into pieces, and those pieces, how it should be broken is all common sense. In the beginning you will not do this. I will do this for you. It will make a lot of sense to you, whatever I will be asking. Okay. Similarly, these approval scenarios, whether he has to approve it or not. For example, let's say the request that he's asked is more than a certain number, and then that would mean that a fulfillment center should not reject it immediately. They should seek the approval. In the beginning, in the first release, it can be off the system. That means rep will look at the request, go to manager, manually ask, and come back and fulfill the request or reject the request based on the approval. Down the line, in third release, we can build this mechanism that he will check the status to requesting approval. It will automatically show in the manager's window, fulfillment center manager's window, in my team's view. He will accept it or reject it right there. If it is rejected, sales rep will get, then there is nothing to be done by fulfillment center. Sales rep will get an email or sales rep will get a notification that your request was rejected. If he accepts, fulfillment center rep will start working on fulfilling the request. Making sense? We can do this thing in the third release. So my point is, you can break the function requirements into various releases. Okay. This is also not, these requirements are not written at that detailed level, but it is still written. So I can see a list and we can put it in front of it, in a matrix, we can put like it will be done in phase 1, it will be done in phase 2, it will be done in phase 3, phase 4. The details could be a little bit more also. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It should be a little bit more.